This. There comes a moment when the noise inside your head becomes louder than the noise outside. This. You try to rest, but your mind keeps running. You try to breathe, but your chest feels heavy. This is not weakness. This is a signal. Anxiety is the mind's way of saying this. You've been away from yourself for too long. Today, I will share how to return home to that silent place within where no storm can reach you. Stay until the end, because peace is not something you wait for. It's something you practice. And today, you will learn how to begin. Before you can control anything in life, you must first become aware of it. Most people make the mistake of trying to fix what they do not yet understand. They feel anxiety rising in their chest and immediately fight against it. They distract themselves, suppress the feeling, or pretend it isn't there. But the truth is simple. You cannot overcome what you refuse to see. Awareness is the very first step toward freedom. It is the light that reveals what has been hidden in the dark corners of your mind. When you turn toward your anxiety instead of away from it, something powerful begins to change. The emotion doesn't disappear instantly, but it loses its ability to control you. Think of the mind as a room filled with shadows. Anxiety is one of those shadows, moving, shifting, whispering fear. When the room is dark, the shadow feels alive. But the moment you turn on the light of awareness, you realize it was never a monster. It was simply the shape of something you hadn't yet looked at clearly. The more awareness you bring to your inner world, the less power fear has over you. Awareness is not the same as analysis. Analysis belongs to the intellect. It asks why and searches for reasons. Awareness belongs to consciousness. It simply sees. When you become aware of your anxiety, you don't need to name it, justify it or solve it. You just need to notice it. Feel the tightness in your body, the speed of your breath, the restless movement of your thoughts. Stay with it, and let it reveal what it truly is. A temporary wave passing through the vast ocean of your being. In daily life, we spend so much time reacting that we forget to observe. The next time anxiety appears, don't rush to escape. Pause for a moment, take one conscious breath, feel the air entering and leaving your lungs. That single act of awareness begins to separate you from the emotion. You start to see that anxiety is an experience you are having, not an identity you are trapped in. This shift is subtle, but it changes everything. Many people believe that control comes first, that if they can just discipline their mind, they will finally feel at peace. But control without awareness becomes suppression. It pushes emotions deeper instead of dissolving them. True control arises naturally out of understanding. When you know what anxiety is, when you have watched it enough to recognize its pattern, you no longer fear it. You respond consciously instead of reacting automatically. Imagine standing beside a river. The current represents your thoughts. When you are unaware, you are swept away, tossed from one worry to another. But when awareness arises, you step onto the bank. The current is still there, but you can watch it flow without being dragged along. From that place of observation, calmness is born. Awareness also teaches humility. It reminds you that you are not separate from your emotions. They are part of your human experience. Instead of labeling anxiety as bad, you begin to see it as a messenger. It tells you that something inside seeks your attention. Perhaps exhaustion, unprocessed emotion, or lack of rest. By listening, you begin to heal. The path to peace is not about eliminating anxiety. It is about transforming your relationship with it. when you cultivate awareness, you bring presence into moments that used to overwhelm you. Slowly, the storm that once terrified you becomes the wind that strengthens your roots. Awareness does not promise a life without challenges. It promises clarity amid chaos. So before you try to control your thoughts or force calmness upon your mind, pause and observe. Sit quietly. Let awareness rise like dawn over the dark landscape of your emotions. Because once you truly see your anxiety, you are already on the path beyond it. Control follows naturally. Peace follows awareness. And awareness, once awakened, never truly leaves you. In a world that glorifies speed, stillness has become one of the rarest strengths. We are constantly told to move faster, achieve more, and fill every silent moment with noise. Yet, the more we chase the more restless we become. True strength is not found in constant motion. It is found in the ability to be still when everything around you demands a reaction. Stillness is not weakness. It is mastery. It is the quiet space where clarity is born, and from clarity, all wise action arises. When the mind is restless, every small problem feels like a mountain. But when the mind is still, even great challenges become manageable. The waves of life will always rise and fall. You cannot stop them. What you can do is find the calm center within yourself that remains unmoved. That is where real power lives, not in control over circumstances, but in composure amid them. The one who can remain still in the middle of chaos possesses a strength that cannot be taken away. Many people mistake stillness for inactivity, but it is not about doing nothing. Stillness is the art of doing one thing completely, being fully present in this very moment. When you drink water, just drink. When you walk, just walk. When you breathe, just breathe. This simple awareness turns ordinary actions into meditation. The more often you return to this state, the more your nervous system learns peace. Over time, anxiety loses its grip because the mind discovers that silence is safe. Most of our suffering comes from our inability to sit quietly with ourselves. We keep running from our thoughts, distracting ourselves with noise and activity. But silence is not the enemy. Silence is the mirror that shows you who you really are. When you finally stop running and allow yourself to sit in that stillness, you begin to meet the truth within. You realize that beneath the surface of your racing mind lies a vast space of calm that has been there all along. Stillness is also a form of discipline. It takes courage to remain calm when emotions rise, when people provoke you, when plans fall apart. Anyone can react. It takes strength to pause. The pause between stimulus and response is where wisdom lives. In that pause, you reclaim your power. You no longer move out of fear or anger. You move from understanding. The strongest person in the room is not the one who shouts the loudest, but the one who can keep their peace when everyone else has lost theirs. When you practice stillness daily, even for a few minutes, you start to notice subtle changes. Your thoughts become lighter, your breath deeper, and your reactions slower. You begin to listen more, speak less, and observe the world with patience. This inner calm doesn't mean you stop caring or feeling. It means you stop being controlled by every passing emotion. You start to choose your responses consciously instead of being dragged by impulses. That is true strength. Nature itself is the greatest teacher of stillness. Look at a mountain. Unmoved by storms, it stands tall in silence. The river flows around it, the wind howls, but the mountain remains. In the same way, you must become like that mountain, firm, grounded, and unshaken. The storms of life will come and go, but your stillness will allow you to endure them with grace. Remember this, stillness is not the absence of motion, but the presence of awareness. It is the ability to act without inner disturbance, to move without losing balance. When your mind is still, your decisions become clearer, your relationships calmer, and your actions more powerful. The world around you may be noisy, but within you there is peace. That peace is your strength, quiet, steady, and eternal. So whenever you feel lost, anxious, or overwhelmed, return to your breath. Sit in silence, even if just for a moment. Let stillness rise from within and remind you that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it simply breathes. Life constantly presents us with moments that test our balance. Unexpected words, sudden disappointments, moments of pressure that trigger our emotions before our awareness can catch up. In these moments, most people react. They allow instinct to take over, letting emotion decide what comes next. But the path to inner peace begins when you learn to pause, when you begin to move from reaction to response. This shift may seem small, but it changes everything. Reaction is driven by the past, old patterns, fears, and conditioning. Response is born in the present, from awareness, understanding, and clarity. When you react, you are like a leaf carried away by the wind. Every event, every word from others, every setback determines your direction. But when you respond, you become like the tree itself, deeply rooted, steady, unshaken by the passing breeze. The difference is awareness. Reaction is unconscious, response is conscious. And this consciousness gives you freedom. Each time you feel anxiety rise, or anger stir, or fear whisper in your chest, that is the exact moment when choice appears. You can react, letting emotion take the lead, or you can breathe and observe. The breath is your gateway to response. Practice. In that single quiet breath, your body begins to calm and your mind returns to the present. Suddenly, the emotion that once controlled you becomes something you can understand. The more you practice this, the stronger your inner balance grows. When you begin to respond instead of react, you take responsibility for your inner world. You no longer give others the power to control how you feel. You may not control what people do or what life brings, but you can always choose your attitude. This is where real strength begins. It is not about suppressing emotions or pretending to be unaffected. It is about feeling deeply, understanding clearly, and choosing wisely. That is mastery. Think about how many times in life regret comes after reaction. Words spoken in anger, decisions made in fear, actions taken in haste, all because the mind moved faster than awareness. But every time you pause before responding, you create space between the trigger and your choice. In that space lies your freedom. That space is where peace lives. The more often you return to that space, the more natural calmness becomes. Reaction is like fire. It burns quickly, consumes energy, and often leaves destruction behind. Response is like water, calm, adaptable, yet strong enough to shape even the hardest stone over time. The world does not need more fire, it needs more water, more calm, more consciousness. When you respond, you bring balance to situations that would otherwise spiral out of control. Your presence becomes a source of peace for others, not just for yourself. The practice of moving from reaction to response begins in small moments. When someone interrupts you, pause before replying. When life delays your plans, take a deep breath instead of complaining. When fear arises, observe it instead of fighting it. Each time you do this, you are rewiring the mind to remain steady. Over time, you will notice that situations that once disturbed your peace no longer have the same power. The storm may still come, but your inner sky remains clear. The world around you will not stop testing your patience, but each challenge is a mirror showing how far you've come. The goal is not to eliminate all reactions. That would make you less human. The goal is to bring awareness to them, to transform them into mindful responses. You can still act firmly, speak truthfully, and live passionately, but with awareness guiding every step. So the next time you feel yourself pulled into a storm of emotion, remember this pause, breathe, observe, and then respond. In that pause lies your power. The mind that reacts lives as a prisoner of emotion. The mind that responds lives as a master of peace. The mind is like a wild horse, powerful, energetic, full of potential. But without discipline, it can run in every direction, dragging you wherever it pleases. Most people live as passengers of their own thoughts, carried away by impulses, emotions, and endless streams of mental noise. Yet those who find peace are not the ones who have silenced the mind completely. They are the ones who have learned to guide it. Discipline is not control through force. It is harmony through understanding. When you train your mind, you don't suppress it. You teach it to serve you instead of rule you. Every day, thousands of thoughts arise. Most of them are repetitive, unnecessary, and rooted in fear or desire. Without discipline, these thoughts shape your mood, your actions, and your destiny. But with discipline, you begin to choose which thoughts deserve your attention and which do not. That choice is the foundation of mental freedom. The undisciplined mind reacts to everything it sees and hears. The disciplined mind decides what is worth responding to. That single distinction separates chaos from peace. Discipline of the mind begins with awareness. You must first watch how your thoughts behave, where they come from, what triggers them, how they influence your emotions. You cannot change what you do not see. When you start to observe your thoughts without judgment, you create distance. That distance gives you space to guide the mind instead of being carried away by it. At first, it feels difficult because the mind has been the master for so long. But slowly, through consistency, you begin to reverse that relationship. Training the mind is like training the body. One meditation session, one day of focus, or one moment of calm is not enough. It is the daily discipline that builds strength. Just as the body grows through repeated effort, the mind becomes still and steady through repeated awareness. Each time you return your attention to the present moment, each time you choose peace over reaction, you are exercising mental discipline. Over time, this practice becomes natural, not forced, not mechanical, but effortless and alive. The disciplined mind is not cold or detached. It is deeply alive, yet centered. It feels emotions fully, but does not drown in them. It experiences joy without clinging and pain without resistance. It walks through chaos without losing balance because it knows how to return home, to silence, to breath, to awareness. This steadiness is what creates inner peace. When your mind obeys your awareness instead of impulses, you become unshakable. Discipline also means protecting what enters your mind. Every word you listen to, every image you see, every conversation you engage in, all of these are seeds. What you allow in will grow within you. A disciplined mind chooses carefully what to feed on. It seeks wisdom instead of gossip, calm instead of drama, truth instead of noise. This inner discipline is not about isolation, but about intention. You start to value peace more than entertainment, growth more than comfort, clarity more than distraction. To discipline the mind is to reclaim your life. It is to stand guard at the gate of your thoughts and decide which ones may enter. Without this practice, the mind becomes the master and you the servant. With it, you become the observer, the guide, the peaceful presence behind all experience. This does not happen overnight. There will be days when your mind wanders, when emotions rise, when you lose focus, but each return to awareness is another step toward mastery. Remember this, freedom is not the absence of thoughts, it is the ability to remain unmoved by them. The disciplined mind is not empty, it is clear. It can think deeply, act decisively, and rest peacefully. It does not rush, it does not cling, it simply flows with awareness. When you reach this state, anxiety fades, chaos loses its voice, and peace becomes your natural condition. That is the true reward of mental discipline, a life lived from the stillness of the soul, not the noise of the mind.